Okay, we're going to start with the Punch. Not sure why there's no nation today. Tinubu to meet APC governors as race for running mates begins. Nigerian-American surgeon jailed 27 years for fraud. France-based Nigerian travels to Lagos, leads cyber attacks on 10 banks. Customs deepen probe on seized foreign rights. 2 more ladies accuse Lagos bishop of rape, narrate ordeal. North doesn't fear restructuring, mustn't be seen as Nigeria's problem, says Suleiman. Man, that's Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, tackles CBN over 1 trillion naira low-interest loan. FG shouldn't have set up Nigeria Air, says ex-Nama boss Iyayi. Our massacre, death toll hits 40 at Keredolu plans Memorial Park. And FG orders Nigerian ambassadors to woo strategic investors. Okay, which story are we starting with?
I think I should just do the follow-up story of the allegation placed on a Bishop Daniels. I took the story yesterday where he was accused of raping a church member, an assistant pastor who he claimed he was punishing, and then raped her about twice. She was bleeding and all that. I took that yesterday. So 2 other church members have come out to say that the same thing happened to them. So he calls you. I think he has a church in Ekiti State, one of the branches, and then he calls you in the pretense that he wants to punish you for something, that you're supposed to come to Lagos. They come to Lagos. They always meet him in the house without his wife and his children. And according to one of their stories, said that he gave her alcohol to take, and then said that there's, as a Christian, there are certain kinds of alcohol that you can take that is not so bad. And then she took the alcohol. She said she lost consciousness. By the time she woke up, the man had raped her. She had, semen all over herself. And when he was leaving the house in the morning, he warned her not to open the door for anybody. Another lady came to pick up some things. She opened the door. By the time he got back, he was shouting, "Did you open the door for somebody? Why did the person see you naked?" and all that. The second person also mentioned the same pattern.
He drove her out of the house.
Yes. She had to go to Ekiti, I think about 4 p.m. and got to Ekiti the next morning. But the thing about the issue is that they keep coming back. So after the first incident, one said it took like 6 months before she found her way back into the house. So it seems to me like something else is going on when they can't really talk to people about it.
Yeah, one of the ladies, because the Punch, when they posted it on their page, a lot of the comments were to the first lady that, why do you keep going back? Why do you keep going back? So she said she went back to collect evidence, that she had to collect evidence to prove. And so she has recordings, she has
WhatsApp messages.
WhatsApp messages that she screenshot and
sent to somebody else.
And sent to someone else. And now they're with the FCID. So.
Okay, so let me take the story about the Nigerian-American who was sentenced 27 years for fraud. So Justice Abdulaziz Anka of the Federal High Court in Ikoyi sentenced this Nigerian-American trained surgeon John Nweke to 27 years imprisonment for fraudulently obtaining goods from Konga Online Shopping Limited. And he got about 19 expensive smartphones to the tune of 35 million naira. Obviously, it was some kind of a fraud. And in the statement yesterday, the defendants were arraigned in 2016 before the Honorable Justice, and now they've been found for conspiracy and obtaining property under false pretenses. I'm happy this didn't happen since 2016, and I'm happy that finally justice has been served. They had ordered they also ordered to pay back the money and to give restitution to those who they collected money from. And the 2 accomplices, Stephen Anekwege, is now deceased, and Kelechi Emenike were also discharged.
And in a related, or somewhat related story, a France-based Nigerian travels to Lagos to dupe 10 cyber attack on 10 banks. And though he is at large, his name is Chris Holland or something. Chibuzo Holland. He flew into the country. And he was working with somebody in the bank with 4 other people. And but I don't know how they found out that the guy in the bank...
It's connected to them.
Yeah, and they just swooped in on them. They have evidence to prove all the things.
Conversations.
All the conversations, all the attack, all the...
Their plan. Okay. They're arrested.
No, the Chibuzo Holland is at large, but they've arrested Kehinde Oladimeji, the mastermind, Olarinrewaju Adesina, Kolakbo Abiodun.
Fantastic.
who is the next bank of the staff.
Imagine.
So, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria tackles CBN over the 1 trillion naira low-interest loan. This is an intervention fund. It's not like the general loan they get from the banks. Two chairpersons of the subsector of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria have spoken to Punch concerning this. The chairman of the electronics sectoral group, Mrs. Ijoma Odwonye, said that she had made efforts several times through the commercial banks to get this loan. This loan was at 9%. Now the loan has even been reviewed to 5%. And she's saying that the bank told her that they don't have access to it. So she changed banks to still get access to this manufacturing, this intervention fund for manufacturers in Nigeria, and she said she couldn't get it. Another chairman of another sectoral group, this one is for the gas sector, Michael Ola Adebayo, said the structural framework for accessing this loan is faulty. That there's a faulty structural framework, and according to him, he doesn't know who is accessing this loan, according to CBN. CBN reports replied to the Punch reporter saying that they've been able to give out 1 trillion of the loan. So if 1 trillion has gone out, is it to ghost manufacturers, or who is getting those loans? Because they have given out 1 trillion. Manufacturers are saying they're not getting it. So I would like a proper percentage of who are the people that are getting these loans. Right. So that, and if they can make public the requirements for getting the loan, so that manufacturers who need it have access to it, because we hear of loans that are meant to be intervention going into the hands of people that have no business in manufacturing.
Moving on quickly now to Daily Sun. Tinubu PDP open fight. Presidential elections approaches. INEC solicits support for Air Force for Hikiti. Oshun Guba polls. Atiku PDP governors meet over running mates and others. UBA redeems $500 million 5-year Euro bond. Labour reports Nigeria's anti-workers stance against ASU to ILO. WASI 2022, WAEC expresses concern over activities of rogue websites. Lawan Atiku governors Kalu others hail APC presidential candidate. Okay, which story are we starting with?
We could start with, yes, WAEC, the West African Examinations Council, yesterday expressed concern about the activities of rogue websites, especially with this May-June West African Senior School Certificate Examination. So they are saying that this is just to draw the attention of the public and stakeholders to what is happening with this rogue website. So these people come with a ploy and they tell candidates and parents that there's a way they can get out the examination questions before the day of the exams. And so parents are flooding in, paying, and they are duping them. Nothing like that is happening. So they are saying that they are trying as much as possible. There's a collaboration ongoing with the police, and they're going to fish out these perpetrators. And also, it wouldn't make sense for a child who's supposed to graduate to not have a result at the end of the day, because they will find you out and you will not get your result. So they are appealing to parents to allow their words read. They should understand the need to study so that they can get into the examinations right and pass, and not rely on all these devious and unscrupulous people to buy papers.
Let me come to the story. Atiku PDP, they're having meetings concerning who's going to be his running mate. So there was a meeting they had yesterday with some of the governors on the PDP trying to discuss and agree on who their the running mates for Atiku would be. According to the reports from Daily Sun, 4 PDP governors, including Nyesom Wike, Udom Emmanuel, Bala Mohammed, and Aminu Tambuwal of Rivers State, Akwa Ibom, Bauchi, and Sokoto, respectively, have indicated interest to be the opposition's party vice presidential flag bearer. And they're hoping that these meetings, there won't be any discord amongst them. Whoever PDP picks as a VP will be very instrumental in getting certain votes. So I know that APC is also watching keenly, because they're also looking for who's going to become Ashwaju's running mate for the APC ticket. So this is getting more and more interesting, but I'm quite interested, because if they pick Wike, that's a strong candidate. People are hoping that Peter Obi hadn't left. It would have been great for Peter Obi to be his VP, but now that Peter Obi has moved to Labour, there's a possibility that they might be considering either a Wike or possibly a Tambuwal. We'll see how that goes. Calculations are on. Everybody's calculating.
I doubt they will pick Tambuwal. That's northern tickets.
Well, it depends. Well, it depends on who knows.
I want to take the Labour story, because the Ayuba Waba has taken the case of ASU to the International Labour Court. He was speaking at the 110th session of the International Labour Conference in Geneva, Switzerland. And he complained about the growing resistance of our government to workers' freedom. He cited several issues, spoke about the willpower of the government to end the university lecturers and non-staff, non-academic staff, which has kept Nigerian future generation stuck, and saying the government hasn't done enough to end the strike, meeting the labour complainants at the middle ground and resolving the issue. He also said that the NLC would continue to support the strike of the university workers until the issues are resolved. I don't know exactly what the International Labour can do to resolve this issue.
There's a proper way of devoting.
I think it just brings it into the news.
Yeah,
that we are doing something.
I don't think that that's the way. There's an official document that we've written officially, not just call a conference and talk about it and suddenly it's no. I doubt that's it. Okay, Lisa, we're moving on to
So, okay, are we moving on?
Okay.
Yes, so the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has solicited the support of the Air Force in delivery of election materials for Ekiti and Osun State governorship elections. So they had this arrangement with the Air Force, I think in 2017, and now they are recalling it because they need their help to be able to supply these election materials. So they said that the 2023 general election is only 261 days from today. However, the Ekiti State governorship election is holding in the next 10 days on Saturday, the 18th of June. And the Osun governorship election will be holding in 38 days, which is going to be on the Saturday, the 16th of July, 2022. And so they need a delivery of outstanding election materials across the states, but the commission will be handling within the states. So this is more like a collaboration for a free and fair election.
Okay, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, move on to other sides of the papers. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Moving on now to Vanguard. APC, how governors NWC, others give Tinubu victory. Our killings, market women protests, rain curses on killers. Access Bank to acquire Kenya's CDN Bank for 15 billion naira. UBA redeems $500 million 5-year Eurobond. Okada ban, Ajah residents now live in fear as former riders take to robbery. Narrow-minded politicians' greatest threat to Nigeria's civic space is Coca. And slain a Kaduna Reverend Father, buried without corpse. Okay, which story are we going with?
I will take the Okada ban. The residents of Ajah, according to this story, are living in fear as the riders have taken to robbery. Sorry, one of the residents who identified as himself as Yesaki says that some of the Okada riders moved back to the north. Some have hidden their bikes, while the others have taken to crime. You can't walk around anywhere in Ajah from 8 p.m. where you will be accosted and your phones will be taken, your bags. So they're saying that the Lagos State is very serious, but they're just afraid for their safety.
So there's a lot of robbery going on right now.
But, I was listening to the radio today and someone said, look, you have to have been a thief before
To resort to
stealing. You don't...
can't just learn it because
Okada. So they were using the Okada to steal, and then there's no means to steal. They find another way. Please let me take the food crisis. It's not a Nigerian story. This is actually referring to the world food instability, Russia-Ukraine war and its effect. So our very own Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was speaking to BBC Global trade correspondents, mentioned the fact that Ukraine supplies the 42% of the world's sunflower oil comes from Ukraine. 16% of the world's maize comes from Ukraine. 10% of the world's barley and 9% of wheat come from Ukraine. And this is already stuck because of the war taking place. They also have harvest coming by July, equal size that might be stuck if decisive action isn't taking place within the Russia-Ukraine crisis to evacuate the food. That the crisis that will happen is not just a few months crisis. It will take years to recover because they are essential to the food supply for the world. So those that are thinking Nigeria is the only place the problem is facing, it's worldwide. And I hope that the World Trade Organization can come up with something to forestall
This
this
is something
crisis.
that Nigerians are always asking for. Something. In every conversation, let's do something. The government do something.
We don't know that. So we expect that people, we know our area of strength. So people should
there's
know
no strength. Everybody's always like, let's do something.
This is something we need to define it.
We need to define
We
it
need
something.
professors to
They
help
should
us.
enter Ukraine.
And
everybody
They
says
should
do
enter
something.
Russia.
Okada ban, government
do something.
There's no
This is our
government
time
do something.
as Nigerians to make use of this sun that God has blessed us with and start farming all these things and be the supplier to the world.
Yeah.
Our economy will improve.
Exactly.
Okay,
You know,
markets-
that is something.
Yeah, market women in our town, Ondo State, yesterday protested the killings of the worshippers at St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, and they were raining curses on the perpetrators of the evil acts. Also, they had shut down the shops in the marketplaces. None was open to sell. So they marched through the major streets in the town, and they were urging security agencies to fish out the killers. They also visited about 7 traditional revered sites in town where they were busy raining curses on the attackers. They later went to Francis Catholic Church. They were received and they were assured that the perpetrators would not go unpunished. However, they were advised that they should not use that anger on innocent citizens in the state. However, also, the governor had given an update on the number of the casualties. Said they are now 40 because they had collated reports from even private hospitals. They said 127 persons were involved in the attack. 61 survivors are still on admission in different hospitals. 26 persons have been discharged, while 40 persons died. And he's promising that the land that will be used for the mass burial will be supplied by the state.
Really sad. So most Reverend Matthew Man also Ndagoso had to perform funeral rites for late Reverend Father Joseph Bako Akete, who was kidnapped and killed by bandits in Kaduna back in March 2022. Earlier this year, he was kidnapped in his residence at St. John's Catholic Church, Kudenda, where he was serving as parish priest alongside his his brother, Sunday Bako, who was also killed. And unfortunately, their remains were not found, but I'm not sure, maybe their body parts or so were found, but they had to bury the Reverend Father yesterday amidst obvious lamentations from the community. People were crying, saying that they are helpless. They have no way of protecting themselves. And the Reverend Father said that it's his first time ever having to preside over a funeral without a corpse. And he was hoping that at some time, they hope to find his bones at least, so they can do a proper burial for him. Really, really sad. It's just portraying the story of what happened in Owo. The fact that the government's planning the mass burial. These are painful situations where families, these are people that have names, parish pastors, people who attend churches.
Human beings
like you and I. And it's really sad that, and when you listen to the prelate's testimony of his own ordeal, he said that even their commander was 35 years old. They're like just young people. These are young kids that just have ammunition with them, and they have no heart. They're just killing people.
One thing that the law enforcement isn't doing is when this kind of thing happens. First of all, it happens for over a long period. They don't get there. And when they get there, they allow the crime scene to be tampered with. So they are not even on top of the
crime scene, it's when you are able to take footprints, fingerprints. Here, we don't take fingerprints or anything. So crime scene,
do we know we should take? Do we even know we should take?
Everybody has
Nigerian auntie, we are begging Nigerians to go and do a NIN number so we can trace you.
Many have done.
Yeah, but many haven't also. So, and in some rural areas, there's a possibility that many people don't.
Data.
If they have phone, it means that they have activated that phone.
If they have phone, the phone automatically has been deactivated if you don't have any number.
Any other story?
Father, the Kuka Center in Abuja, the director of the center, his name is Father Ata Bakindo, was speaking in Abuja concerning how the politicians that have profited from Nigeria financially, and he feels these are the people that are not making Nigeria succeed. Specifically, he said that a lot of our politicians don't like criticism, and we don't take criticism, we don't take feedback. And he also mentioned how the greatest threat to our civic space is the Nigerian people, particularly politicians, want to do everything to hold on to power.
Yes,
so that's like 3 things he listed that are contributing to the challenges we are facing, and that there is a serious political consciousness going on within the young people, but they're not allowed to express themselves. However, in reply, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Policy Research, Chris Uwogo, said it is almost reductionistic to claim that the government is afraid of civic space, and that he insists that unbridled freedom could portend danger. So it's about finding that middle ground. What is unbridled freedom and what is actual freedom? If people are not allowed to speak, is it because they are scared, or the government is scared of that they might take law into their hand and just say anything, and the things might lead to other effects? We just need to be able to be allowed to express ourselves. And the government shouldn't just take anything we say that does not please them as a criticism, but rather a feedback for them to improve how they are dealing with Nigerian citizens.
Okay, moving on quickly to the Nigerian Tribune. 2023 Tinubu article set for this historic duel. It's our hot topic a bit later, so we'll focus on it. We'll leave it for now. World Bank alerts of stagflation risk amid sharp slowdown in growth. Access Bank to acquire $37 million stake in Kenya's Syrian bank. Wike may be running mates to Atiku. 38 died in our massacre, Catholic bishop says. Collapsed wall kills only child of two other kids in Warri. Okay, which story are we taking in?
The Tribune?
The Nigerian Tribune. I was going to take the... Let me see, the stagflation. Let me take that story where I think it's the World Bank. There's a warning. The World Bank saying that an imminent stagflation occasioned by the slowdown in the global economy. You talked about it earlier. The war that happened in Ukraine has caused a contraction. So according to him, let me just get this. He said that because of there's going to be possibility of a feeble growth and elevated inflation. That's what they're calling stagflation. So, and this is going to cause a expected slump from 5.7% in 2021 to further 2.9% in 2022, significantly slower than what they've experienced back in January. He's saying that this is expected because of as we're trying to recover from COVID, the war in Ukraine now made it worse, such that there's going to be a global economic prospects. Going to be a global reduction in food supply, as you said earlier, and this is going to be protected by this feeble growth that they expected to have and cause an elevated inflation. Listen, this what this means is that there's going to be issues across the world. It's going to affect us. So we have our own internal issues, and there's the global issue that's going to affect all of us. Okay,
be fine.
I think that's all we can take. Any other story that we have missed out?
Yeah, in the terrorists in the helicopter.
In Guardian,
in Guardian, the terrorists in a helicopter that killed 32 and shell houses. So the villagers are saying that the terrorists are attacking in helicopters and motorcycles, and they're killing people, and they're finding their people all in the bush, the surrounding bushes. So they're just
in the same country.
In this
terrorists are killing. Let me show you understand
from the air and on the ground.
Terrorists.
Yes. Inhabitants of Adara community in southern part of Kaduna State have said that about 32 persons lost their lives in alleged helicopter-aided attack by terrorists who razed houses, including evangelical church winning or Ekwa in the area.
So it would be good if this information is backed by proper police reports saying we confirm the little people.
Let's run. That's all we can take on Front Page Review. It's getting scarier.
And scarier.
We'll come back. We'll move on to the hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.